Dr. Theresa Bullard, and this is part of a video blog series on the current situation and times that we're in with the COVID-19 situation. I wanted to also give you some hope, because when we are in an alchemical process, which we very much are as individually and as a collective right now, there's somewhere that it's leading us towards, and what it's leading us towards is really exciting stuff. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of what can we expect once we emerge from this current phase of the fermentation and that dark night and, kind of the death of the old. And as we move forward into the next stage, what is it that we're moving towards, and what's going to be needed in order to keep the alchemical process moving forward? So in alchemy, there's 7 stages, and I don't have time here to go through all of them, but I do cover some of them in my mystery teaching series in season 3. There is actually a whole episode on the 7 stages of alchemy, and I also have a book called The Game Changers: Social Alchemists in the 21st Century. It's an easy, digestible primer on the alchemical stages and those 7 steps that we go through, and how it's working in alignment with our social alchemy, our social evolution and transformation that we're going through right now and where we're heading. So if you want more on all the details of each of the 7 stages, then I recommend those as some resources. But right now, so we are in the fermentation stage, the 5th out of the 7 stages. So we have calcination, dissolution, separation, conjunction, fermentation, and then we have 2 other stages, which is the distillation stage and the coagulation stage. So the first 5 stages are what we call the black phase. It's like there's impurities, there's pollution, there's things that need to be rooted out, there's death, of the old form and so forth, that's being cleared away and purified. So those first 5 stages are all a purification process. But once we successfully emerge out of the fermentation stage, we hit this point where it's called the yellow phase, or citrinatus, where it's this yellowing, or it's this rainbow film. They call it the peacock's tail in alchemy. And that usually is a signal that the black stages are done. It's a signal that the fermentation is complete, and now everything that moves forward from here is pure essence. Like, this is the stuff we need to keep, but then we just need to move into a process of refinement and raising vibration. In our spiritual alchemy, what that yellow phase, or that citrinous phase, has to do with is usually a vision, that there's some light at the end of the tunnel. There's a spiritual vision, an awakening that happens, and we emerge out of the darkness into the light. And it might come with multiple colors, kind of a rainbow film of colors. And maybe we'll even literally see the rainbows in the sky as a sign. But there's something that really marks, and it has a lot of light and a lot of color and a lot of awakening, and like a breath of fresh air, like, oh, I've emerged back into the light. So we're going to watch for those signs of the light coming in. And then, that's just a transition, saying, okay, now we're moving into the next stage. And the next stage is what we call distillation. Now, distillation is a process. It takes patience. But fortunately, once we get into that distillation stage, everything that is left is, okay, now these are the essentials. And this is what we want to take, and we want to refine it. We want to perfect it. We want to raise the vibration up. And at a physical level in alchemy, what distillation usually entails is that you have your solution that has been through the previous stages, and you dissolve it into some really purified water. And then you go through this slow process of heating it up and evaporating it. And as it goes from a water liquid state to a vapor state, those vapors rise up, and they say it rises from earth to heaven, right? So it's a raising of vibration, and it's connecting into these more subtle spiritual realms, and it's more able to absorb the spiritual energy. It's more able to attune and be infused by those subtle energies of spiritual awakening, wisdom, intention, higher intelligence, and so forth, coming in, and we tap into that higher consciousness. And then once it's been into that elevated state, it then descends again, it recondenses, and it comes back into the liquid state. And so then they say, so it ascends from earth to heaven, and then it again descends to earth. And through this process of going into these elevated states of consciousness and then bringing it back down, as we bring it back down, we're coming to embody that spiritual essence into our physical life. So we're taking that wisdom, that illumination, that awakening, that insight, and we're now coming and bringing it down into our physical life to be embodied, to be manifested. So that's a matter of, okay, we're going to take the wisdom, and now how do we apply it in our world? How do we take that out into society? What new solutions can we implement to, take that higher guidance and wisdom and really manifest it so that we can create a new world and a new society? And therefore, as we do this now, we have to do this multiple times. We go through many stages of rising up to the higher state of consciousness and those higher realms, and reconnecting in with that state of coherence with that wisdom and that higher spiritual guidance and so forth, and then bringing it back down into the physical to be applied, to be manifested, to be implemented and integrated into our life and into our world. And this process, as we do this with each cycle of raising up, accessing the higher state of consciousness and wisdom, and then bringing it down and applying it in our world and manifesting, and then going up, and then it's like we're constantly trying to seek that higher spiritual guidance for how do we approach this next problem? How do we bring the next solution forward into our society and our world? And it takes persistence. It takes some discipline. It takes some patience to keep on doing it, to keep using the good tools and practices that support us in elevating our consciousness, whether it's meditation or prayer or some form of ceremony or ritual, whatever it is for you that you have used that really supports you in getting up into those higher states of consciousness and feeling that sense of unity and that sense of bliss and peace. But we're not just there to bliss out. We want to take that energy and we want to bring it back down to be embodied, to be grounded, to be manifested, so that we can make a difference in this world, so that we can solve the issues and create a better world. So in alchemy, they say it ascends from earth to heaven and again descends to earth, and therefore it revives the power of the superiors, or the heavenly realm, and the inferiors, or the earthly realm. So we want to revive these powers that is bringing heaven and earth together, that is helping us to truly manifest that as it is above, so it shall be below. But we need to do work to really make this experience of life on earth a true reflection of the potential and the destiny that we have, that we're here to fulfill. And that is a big piece of why we're here and why we're going through this whole process right now. Let's just bring this back to the current situation. We have, what really struck me one day when I was driving on the freeway, and they have these digital billboards, or message boards, kind of community message boards over the freeway here in California. And as I was driving, I saw the community message, the public broadcast, and it said, wash your hands, right? And then cleanliness stops COVID-19. And what struck me about that was that it was this whole idea and this theme of cleanliness. It's about purification. And that we need, so we're going through this recognition of the responsibility that each of us have to do our part, to be more pure, to have good practices in our daily routine where we're being more mindful of, are we clean? Are we having good hygiene? Are we sanitizing? Are we, not just for ourselves and our own health, but also for our community, for the whole, so that we're not potentially unknowingly spreading any kind of virus around? And so this is an example. This idea of purification is a good example of something very practical that we are being asked to make a part of our life, not just for a temporary short period of time while we're dealing with this COVID-19 situation, but for ongoing, because this can become a way of life where we become more mindful of our own cleanliness and purification, but also mindful of the impact that we make on those around us. So this transformational time right now that we're going through is asking us to think about the whole, to think about the collective, to think about your community, and not just your local community, the globe. Like, we're in this globally. And, you know, if we want to be able to connect again, if we want to be able to travel again, if we want to be able to gather in groups again, we need to maintain this mindfulness of the impact that we have on each other. And this doesn't just apply physically, right? The physical is just a reflection of things that are happening at higher levels. So in addition to cleanliness and purification of your physical body and sanitizing and so forth, and having good hygiene practices, what's the hygiene of your emotional impact on other people? Are you pure in your emotions, or are you spreading your drama out to everyone else? What about your mind? Are you pure in your mind? Are you quiet in your mind? Are you spreading positive ideas and words? You know, the words you speak, are they having an uplifting effect on others, or are they polluted? Are they impure and dragging others down? You know, there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of fear-based talk, there's all kinds of agendas and so forth, and these are based on polluted mind. So we need to purify our mind as well. And as we purify our body and we purify our emotions and we purify our mind, then we can start to tap into those higher spiritual wisdoms and connection. And then as we tap into that, it's like we're parting the veils of the fog and the muddiness of the waters that pollute, so that now our waters of our being can become crystal clear. And then the light that is trying to shine down from above, it can actually shine through the waters and it can show its light to the whole pond, versus getting blocked because of all the murkiness. So we're being asked to clean up right now. And the best way to clean up is, again, that reset button, but really go inside. Who am I? What am I? What is how can I contribute in a positive way to this situation? What can I do to have a positive impact on the whole? And even if it's just, I'm just going to do my part to really be mindful of the impact I'm having on others, you know, that is a huge step. And what can I do maybe to help my neighbor and take care of each other? The more, you know, we've gotten so individualistic in our world, in our society, that most people don't even know who their neighbors are. This is, again, something that is starting to change, where people are like realizing, oh, you know what, my neighbor is elderly. Maybe they shouldn't be going out. Maybe I can go out and get them something that they need. And we're starting to reach out, and our hearts are opening in compassion and, you know, neighborly goodwill. And this is all really good stuff that is starting to be reawakened in humanity as a result of this situation. So there's really positive things coming. But as I said, as we shift out of this sort of darker cleaning up phase and into now the distillation phase, we need to continue to implement these new good behaviors and practices and mindsets and everything. This new level of awareness needs to get integrated to become a way of life. We need to keep on doing it. And as we do that, and we go through many cycles of, okay, I'm going to continue being mindful, I'm going to continue raising my awareness, and now I'm going to implement that and live those good practices in my life. And then I'm going to raise up again and gain new insight, and then I'm going to integrate that, and I'm going to apply that in the world. And we go through many cycles of this. And what it does is it takes this fledgling state where we're coming out, where the pure essentials are there. This is the gold of what we want to draw out of this process. And we've got it there, but now we need to mature it, because it's kind of in a, it's in a state that's not perfected yet, right? So we want to continue to nurture it forwards. And the distillation process is that we are nurturing this new way of life, and we're continuing to mature it, integrate it, refine it, perfect it. And as we go through enough cycles of that, and we really start to make it our new way of life, then we come to the final stage of coagulation, where everything solidifies and crystallizes into a new society that is hopefully going to be more enlightened, more aware, more harmonious, more in alignment with nature and our higher divine potential. And humanity awakening to more of the power within versus all of the power being put outside of us. So there's some really exciting times ahead, and I just hope that this will give you a sense of hope and some things to look forward to, and some awareness of, okay, what is it that I can do to be a part of that ongoing transformational process that we as a collective of humanity are being asked to do. And even if not everybody does it, if we can get 10% of people doing it, it's going to make a huge difference. Because then we can start reaching that 100th monkey effect, and it will contribute to the collective awakening. So those of us who are paying attention to videos like this and so forth, like, let's do our part, because we have such an amazing opportunity. And I would say that we all chose to be here for this time so that we can be a part of this amazing shift in human consciousness. So join me again for further videos, tips, and tools, and come and subscribe to my website at theresabullard.com to be informed on when the next video comes out.